I have an intro. Ben, are you done eating?
No.
Okay, finish eating.
No, let's go.
No, I'd prefer not to hear you eating on the microphone while we record a
You
podcast.
won't hear me eating on the microphone.
You know, impressively, Ben tends to eat a lot on the podcast. I never hear him eating on the
Way
microphone.
more than you know, actually.
It's like every episode, special guest, Ben's dinner.
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast that the name is in the title and the title is in the name. We're on A New Hope.
Woo!
Hi.
Again, we're on A New Hope again.
I love it. I love it. I love your enthusiasm, Chris. I'm digging it.
That's exactly the kind of upbeat attitude that we need going into
I hate
the
everything.
Trilogy. The podcast episodes that we need the most to talk about because they've been talked about a million times. Ben, how was your watch?
It was great. I just finished like half an hour ago.
Chris, how was your watch?
I mean, it was all right. I would have rather been watching anything else, quite frankly.
Jesus.
Well, I think to be honest, like I think we're all at that point already.
Chris is looking forward to Rise of Skywalker.
Fuck you, Ben.
Can we not talk about that right now? I really don't want to talk about
Hey,
that
he
right
said
now.
anything else.
Well,
I
think
gave
he
him
meant-
an
I meant
alternative.
other than Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
No, I'm loving it.
I'm at the point of this podcast and this project now where I sit down to watch a Star Wars movie and I think about all of the other things I could be doing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. Although I will say, this was the easiest watch of the rotation so far for me because I didn't have to spend 2 days. I surprisingly less special features to get through. I was mostly done the first night. I would have been done at a very decent hour the next day if it wasn't for fucking Star Warriors.
Oh, hell yeah.
I
Fucking
watched
Star
the
Wars.
50. I watched the fucking 501st Legion documentary.
Hell yeah, for peer pressure.
And I have two things to say about it, and then we'll move on. The first one, I do appreciate. Actually, I have three things now that I think about it. I do appreciate. I did not fully recognize the amount of charity work that they do.
Oh yeah.
And it's incredibly impressive, and I'm proud that they exist. And it seems like they seem like good people, and I knew that from the start. This documentary wasn't really about that. It was about the, I think, 2007 Rose Bowl parade where George Lucas got the idea. He was made the Grand Master of Ceremonies, and he got the idea that he wanted, 300 stormtroopers and clone troopers and such walking down the parade. So he decided to outsource that 5-mile walk to the 501st Legion, which was a decision he made. They all did wonderfully. I will not say otherwise. It just, I question the decision to say, hey, 300 fans that also do charity work, why don't you walk 5 miles in stormtrooper armor for me that you bought that I won't provide for you, please? Thank you.
Do you want one better, Josh?
Yeah, sure.
In the season finale of The Mandalorian, they needed a fuck ton of stormtroopers. So Disney approached the 501st Legion and actually got them to be extras in an official Star Wars production.
Well, I mean, that's cool. Like, let me be clear. I would love to see the 501st Legion more involved because, like, their clone trooper armor was never made in the prequels, but their clone trooper armor is amazing. What I'm saying is,
George was just like, hey, you guys should bring your own shit and do this for me.
5 miles. A 5-mile walk in 60-pound gear that the majority of them probably were not prepared for.
There
was
be fair,
a lot of military.
I assume they could have said no.
Well, yes, but
You are walking for me now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't
If-
think Lucas cracked a whip and forced them to do this walk for him. You know,
No,
like,
I'm not. They were obviously all excited to do it. It's just
yeah, that's what I
so
don't.
here's why I say this. To prove that I watched this, because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, I would like to ask the creators of the Star Wars documentary, what the fuck happened to Steve? Is Steve all right? I could not.
Where is
no matter
Steve? Is he
no
okay?
matter
Is he all right?
no matter the amount of Googling that I did, I could not find the status of Steve, and I'll tell you why I could not find the status
I'm
of Steve.
terrified for Steve.
Steve collapsed, passed out, and smacked his head off of the cement at the end of the march.
Oh God.
It didn't look like there was any blood. It didn't look like anything. I'm sure he's all right, but the documentary just like, there's one tearful comment from a member of the 501st that was very upset by it, because obviously you would be. And then it just kind of rushed off to everybody saying goodbye, and they never updated the status of the Steve man.
It's like,
And I want to know.
Oh well,
Is
Steve's
Steve-
a little fucked up. Anyway, here's the
Is-
rest of the film.
Is Steve all right? No, I assume Steve is all right because there were like 4 Steves that were on the IMDb page.
Now let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna make this dark like I do with things. How fucking devastated would you have been if you're watching this doc? That happens. They rush past it. You know, they're ending the doc.
Chris, don't
Credits
do this.
roll.
Chris, don't do
It's
this.
just in memoriam. In memoriam for Steve.
Well, that would be the entire episode. The entire episode would just be saying how fucking yeah, this is my point. The reason why I brought up that maybe it wasn't a good idea was because of Steve. Because we're lucky there weren't more Steves. But I assume he's all right. There were like 4 Steve. I went through the
always a
501st
Steve.
pages. I went through the IMDb pages. There's like 4 Steves that were a part of this march, as far as I can tell. I don't know which was which. If anyone knows the status of Steve, I would really like to know,
Are we
because
doing
I'm upset.
a deep investigation on
I already
where
did
Steve is now?
I don't want to know where Steve is now. I just want to know if Steve is alive, and did he experience long-term damage from that. I assume he's alive because they just rushed it off. I assume he's okay, but I
mean,
want
that's also
confirmation.
probable cause to assume he's not all right.
No, I want to. Don't do this to me. I want to assume he's all right.
Just like, oh, we're not going to linger too much on Steve. People
Yeah.
get ideas. People catch on.
The only other thing I wanted to do on the 501st Legion doc, I wanted to read George Lucas's address to the 501st Legion when he arrived the night before, to kind of amp them up.
Oh no. I already don't like this.
I just came to wish you well. Thanks for volunteering for this special mission. This is our first campaign in an effort to rule the universe. We have the best band in the world, so that will be very exciting. With Grambling, Grambling is an amazing marching band. With Grambling, we can march to victory, of this I'm sure. And I'll see you for the big day. They got me stuck way up front, but they promised me I could get on my motorcycle as soon as I'm done and race back to see you guys. Yeah, you'll have a 4-hour march through God knows what kind of weather. You're all cannon fodder. None of you will probably make it, but we will remember you. That is the full address.
What the fuck?
I feel like I defended George Lucas too early.
Jesus
That is the full
Christ.
address.
Some of you may die. He fully fucking did the
Farquaad.
The Farquaad, yeah.
But that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
But that is all I want to talk about in regards to the Star Wars. 501st Legion, you seem great. If you could get back to me and tell me if Steve is okay, I would appreciate it.
I got some
Look,
connections. I'll see what I could do.
I doubt very much they keep track of their Steves. There's probably too many Steves at this point.
I imagine.
Do we remember which Steve fell and busted his head? And like 3 Steves raise their hands. Like, oh fuck. All right. Well, when did you bash your head?
Do you remember which Steve fell and bashed his head 13 years ago at the Rose Bowl?
Okay, I choose to believe that stormtroopers hitting their heads off of things is like a rite of passage now. Like, Steve is probably worshipped.
But maybe not fucking cement. Okay. That's all I wanted.
Fuck cement. That sounds uncomfortable and unbecoming conduct of a stormtrooper.
Thank you for making the joke I was not bold enough to make, Chris.
So that's all I wanted. I promised I would watch it. Now we can talk about A New Hope.
Don't everyone start at once.
I have a couple of notes. The first of which I'm very excited about because it's like one of my favorite things on the podcast where I get to get into an argument with Josh.
Oh no.
I like how this whole podcast is already just me mediating spousal disputes.
Now, son.
It's not so much an argument, although I know how things devolve on this podcast quickly.
For the whole one person who isn't in our close friend group who listens to this, first of all, God bless you.
Yeah.
The in joke is that Josh and Chris are my fathers.
Yes, we're very much Ben's fathers. We are in the middle of a tumultuous divorce.
What?
This is not how I want you to find out. God damn it.
Chris, what do you have to say?
So last time we went through this, you brought up the point that because of the context of the prequels, Owen is probably about to buy slaves.
Yeah. And before you say what you're about to say, he also told Luke that his father worked on a spice freighter, which only just now sunk in.
That sunk in for me also.
Yeah, don't worry. Your dad wasn't a Jedi. He smuggled drugs.
Yeah.
Hard fucking drugs.
It's just, for the first time in my life, it sunk in this time that, oh no.
Before I get back to my main point, I really wish that was the reveal scene. Like, no, Luke, I lied to you. Your father wasn't really a drug dealer. Oh, thank God. No, he murdered a bunch of children. And no, so God. Back to the slaves.
Please don't put it like that. I'd prefer you didn't.
So here's why you're wrong. So he explicitly tells Luke, I remember when we first went through this, your argument was, well, he says he's going to get more help, which probably means slaves because of the prequels. He does actually explicitly say, with the money from this harvest, he can hire more hands.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I felt it was important to reclaim Uncle Owen's dignity.
I mean,
and that he is not buying slaves.
And then destroy it that he told Luke his father was a drug smuggler.
That line,
that? So
that line actually inspired I forget whether it was Clone Wars or Rebels, where they go to Kessel and the representative is like, oh no, this isn't a hard drug. It's used for many like medicinal medical purposes, which is apparently true in canon. And they
tried to
they
get
did
away
that
from...
only to redeem Anakin's like cover story, which like you have to bend over backwards just to make Uncle Owen look a little nicer.
Oh God. Can I talk about some of the deleted scenes, please? And thank you. Sure. So obviously the special features were made years and years after the Star Wars movies came out, which meant that they had to go into the archives and save what they could save in regards to deleted scenes. So most of them aren't really substantial. There's the one that Ben has talked about before where Biggs goes back and talks to Luke about joining the rebellion. There's a few that are batshit. We'll start with the inoffensive but baffling ones first.
Oh boy.
There's a deleted scene that is maybe 20 seconds long in which Aunt Beru leaves the either leaves or is getting ready to enter the kitchen where Uncle Owen and Luke are talking about the getting of help, where she pours some blue milk and then leaves the room. That's a full deleted scene.
I've seen it. I've probably seen most of these, to be honest with you.
My absolute favorite, and it's worth noting, the last one and this one both made it onto Disney Plus, so it's a deleted scene that has been featured multiple times. There is a deleted scene.
I can't wait till we get to the deleted scenes of Empire. That's going to be fun.
There's a 15-second deleted scene called Old Woman on Tatooine. And it's supposed to be an old woman telling Luke to slow down in the speeder. But it's just because the speeder wasn't obviously running in the scene. They made they did multiple things like to make the speeder like a little car that they could move around, or they would put it on like a swivel so that it could move in certain ways. The speeder was not in the shot, so it's just an old lady walking down the side of a dune, turns around, holds up her hands, and then walks away uncomfortably silent. It's the most awkward fucking thing I've ever experienced.
I love it.
It like of no interaction with anything else. It's just her off to the left of the screen, walking, turning around, waving her hands, turning around, and walking away for an uncomfortable amount of times. Never has 15 seconds felt like so long.
I choose to believe that's the same old lady that Rey talks to at the end of the saga.
I was just about to say that.
Oh.
Just some immortal old lady stuck on Tatooine.
Oh man.
It's like poetry.
This lady is just like, well, I'm here to yell at Skywalkers. Oh, so you're a Skywalker too? Well, fuck off.
Skywalker's killed my child, so I figured I'd spend the rest of my time yelling at Skywalkers. They were going to be a great Jedi Knight. The big one that I wanted to talk about is actually like the lead-in into the big scene. It's not the big scene itself because we've talked about it and there's not a lot I could add. But there's a scene that's obviously supposed to happen right after the expelling of C-3PO and R2-D2 from the runner, of Luke like out of moisture evaporator, looking up into the sky with binoculars and noticing the battle above.
Yep.
Luke has a droid with him, and he gets so excited about this that he runs over to a speeder, and he like stops midway and tells the droid to come, and the droid doesn't really come, and he turns around, and because of the way it's cut together, he gets into the speeder and turns it on, and at that point the droid breaks, and then Luke just leaves without... It almost seems like he doesn't know that the droid broke, because he's already pulling out when the droid breaks. So essentially, if this scene was still in the movie, we could make an argument that Luke, through getting C-3PO and R2-D2 to replace that droid that broke, essentially doomed his aunt and uncle because he was impatient and couldn't wait for a droid that was obviously slow to catch up with him because he saw some sparkles in the fucking sky.
Jesus.
I'm glad this scene is not in the movie because holy shit.
I wish some scenes in the movie that weren't supposed to be in the movie weren't in the movie. But that's a rant I went on last time, so...
Yeah, we talked about that fucking Jabba scene last time.
Pisses me off so fucking much.
Yeah.
I wanted really hard to watch the 2004 version so I could cut out at least some of the special feature stuff, but I realized that because full screen on CRTV was such a thing in 2002 and 3 and 4 that I was going to be watching it in a small area, and I really wanted to lay in my bed while I watched it, so I did not.
Fucking, can we talk about a conspiracy theory?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Our
No,
famous conspiracy theories.
This isn't one of our conspiracy theories. This is a fan-based conspiracy theory that I'm aware of.
Oh, great. The fan-based conspiracy theories are always great.
That Boba Fett was the one actually tracking down Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this one.
Oh, it's because Vader says
Wasn't
to Boba Fett,
that-
no disintegrations.
Wasn't that technically confirmed? Yeah, like...
It's implied.
I don't think it's confirmed.
It's implied by the Vader
Well, because-
comic.
I was about to say, Boba Fett brings him the name Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like you don't know for certain, but it's definitely implied, I feel.
I don't think...
I mean, it's recent. It being confirmed is a recent thing, but I'm pretty sure, not, like you said, not confirmed, but implied.
Yeah.
But again, I'm fairly certain that's like fairly recent because of the Vader comics.
Also,
Yeah, that sounds right.
also, like, why the fuck? Okay. Rant time.
Okay.
Fucking Stormtrooper.
I
Why-
believe that's fraternization within the 501st.
Why the fuck do they even wear armor? What is the fucking purpose of Stormtrooper armor?
Oh, god damn it, I don't want to get this nitty-gritty in the second rotation of the
Nitty
book.
gritty. They slaughter like 50 of them with one blaster bolt a pop, without fail.
Can I ask a question about stormtroopers as well that I made
Oh,
note of?
no.
When they find the Jawas who have been slaughtered, Obi-Wan makes a point saying, well, no, couldn't have been Tuskens because this is far too precise. Only stormtroopers are this precise. No, the fuck they're not.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers don't fucking do anything. It's like an 80s G.I. Joe cartoon. Nobody's getting hit with anything. Everyone's safe. There's parachutes. No one's getting shot. The stormtroopers aren't doing shit.
Well, that also leads into the theory that in A New Hope, at least, I can't speak for any of the other movies because it doesn't hold up if you do, but in A New Hope, the stormtroopers were intentionally missing only to allow them to escape to find the rebel
Oh,
base.
come on.
What do you mean, oh, come on?
Well, that implies that they knew what was going on the entire fucking time, and I don't know. Fuck that.
They had a tracking beacon on it the entire time, because the second they leave, Tarkin says, "Are you sure the homing device is safe upon their ship?" That's not as much of a stretch as you'd think.
I'm not saying it is. It just too much logic gets applied to small things.
Too much logic gets applied to my 70s space fantasy.
No, like
No, I'm
shouldn't-
not using that as an argument. I'm agreeing with you on that.
yeah, it's like everybody wants to recontextualize scenes in the movies, and it's fine to a certain extent, but like I don't need to know that the stormtroopers knew fucking who they were, or like fucking Boba Fett was sent after. Like, it's not. I enjoy the EU stuff. If there was a Boba Fett book that was like, hey, here's Boba Fett going to look for Luke, I'd be into it. But like, it wouldn't. Why can't fucking Owen and Beru's disintegration be at the hands of stormtroopers? Because that just makes fucking sense. It's just, I don't know.
But when have stormtroopers disintegrated things?
I don't know.
I also
could
don't
throw-
think
Exactly.
that's disintegration. Like,
Well, it looks like somebody threw a fucking grenade in there, is what it
I
looks
mean, we've
like.
seen what Mandalorian disintegration looks like, and it's
Yeah.
like
Well,
dust. They're just skeletons who have been burned to death. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but so Darth Vader tells Boba Fett specifically no disintegrations. There are only, I believe, 2 types of rifles that can perform a disintegration. There's the Disruptor rifle and the Displacer rifle. The Disruptor rifle was banned by the Empire, and the Displacer rifle, the only one we've seen, is the Mandalorians. Neither of which Boba had. So I don't know what the fuck happened,
We are the biggest fucking nerds on the planet. I
Oh,
swear
yes.
to God.
That's
There
why
are only 2 models of rifles.
That I'm aware of, at least. That I'm
we've
aware
been
of.
sitting here. I've slowly, for the first time in the podcast, the last 10 minutes or so, I've
Yeah.
slowly zoned out because it's been like, oh, but it's like, I don't fucking care. Why do we have to? It's a space adventure. Why do we need to know that Boba Fett killed Owen and Beru? Why do we need to discuss? Like, my brain has just finally hit the point where it's like, who cares about that small detail?
See, that's where this is the part where I differ from you guys, because that's the shit that gets me excited.
No, like,
because I like knowing all of the stupid little shit that doesn't matter at all.
Before this podcast, I probably would have agreed with you, but now I'm just reaching the point where it's like, I don't need to know little things like why the fuck Dexter in the fucking space fucking diner knows what the Kaminoans are. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Don't do this to me. Moving on. Mark Hamill got into a lot of trouble on set, and apparently George was seething at him because they had to keep redoing the trash compactor scene, and he ad-libbed the line Dianaga poo poo, and George was personally insulted by this ad-lib.
Right, because the tentacle monster's a Dianoga.
George was so insulted by this ad-lib that he pushed Mark into the water. Allegedly.
Christ. Poor Mark Hamill got so abused on these sets, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
He had to smack his head off of fucking Yoda's hut 16 times. Nearly allegedly got drowned.
I love how after the discussion from the last podcast, the allegedlys are coming fast and loose now. It's just...
Well, don't... Okay, so we all
There's
had
allegedly this movie from 1977 we're talking about.
Before the podcast last time, because that did not end up being our intro, we had a discussion about putting in more allegedlys to our offside comments about people maybe being assholes. So you can tell that we're throwing them in more.
Yeah, our legal team advised it.
Our legal team being Ben. Allegedly.
Oh God, don't do this to me. Yeah, allegedly. Very allegedly. Not at all. No. Not confirmed.
The Sandcrawler was like a little... It was a little remote-controlled piece. It was a remote-controlled miniature. And they took it out to, like, what looks to be, from the footage, like, off a road down a ditch in the middle of Death Valley to film it. And I cannot get the idea of, like, people, without knowing what Star Wars was, driving down the road, seeing like 17 people hovering around this
17 grown men.
Grown people watching this little box cart just like drive and filming it at multiple angles.
Oh my God.
In one of the most dangerous deserts in the entire world.
Fucking Christ.
This movie. I love I love it because you can't take it seriously. It is very self-aware that you can't take it seriously.
I also love that
like when Obi-Wan dies, okay? And he fucking evaporates or what the fuck ever. And like your first thought is, oh, like that's what happens when Jedi die, and then Darth Vader's confused as shit. Like, Darth Vader's fucking kicking his robes and shit. Like, what the fuck, dude? The genuine confusion just makes me giggle, because you never see Darth Vader when he's, like, thrown off like that. Imagine the Dark Lord of the Sith just being like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is this about?
Like, why didn't he fucking teach me that shit?
I don't know where else I'm going to fit this in, but I wanted to mention it somewhere since apparently they decided the Blu-ray for A New Hope was the place to put this. There's a little R2-D2 featurette in which Ewan McGregor on the set of
Your
Attack of the Clones
R2D2
is mentioned.
features scare me.
No, it's not that. It's definitely not that. It's just like about the design and how he was created and how people react to him on set. Ewan talked about how his daughter, who was shown like in the first time I've seen any backstage stuff in this, because it seemed like they were heavily protecting her from being on screen in like all of the special features, so much so I didn't know she was there. Ewan McGregor talks about how he had to one night walk into his daughter's room because she was crying hysterically, and he had to console her because she wasn't with R2-D2 anymore on set. She just wanted to be with R2-D2, and apparently she wanted to marry R2-D2, and that is the most adorable fucking thing I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
Though.
Yeah, I deeply relate to it, and it's the most adorable fucking thing I've heard in my life.
I mean, it's super cute, but that poor girl, when she realizes later on all of his drug problems and
his affairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's...
Yeah. Technically, he had a pregnant girlfriend at the time.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, can we never talk about that fucking thing again, please?
Oh, no, you've gifted this to us, Josh.
Gifted? I don't know if that's the word.
I really, really, really liked Star Wars a couple of months ago.
I still love it. I'm still hot off the fucking the high of A New Hope.
I'm jazzed. Like,
God,
not
this is all gonna come crashing down.
I
So
think
jazzed.
I think when we get to Phantom Menace next rotation, I'm gonna be fucking hyped because I don't have to spend so much fucking time on these movies.
I'm gonna be hyped about Phantom Menace, but I don't need to explain
Shut the
why.
fuck up.
Because of fucking pod racing.
I'm so sorry. That was so aggressive.
Just keep setting them up, Josh. I'll keep knocking them down. Existence is meaningless.
Y'all wanted to talk about the lore of the Vader suit at the end of the last podcast, which we could not end.
Oh. Fuck. Hold on.
Oh.
Darth Vader's... I forget how into it we got.
You talked about the suit number, and then I rushed you off because we were at an hour and 9 minutes into the podcast.
Okay. So, Darth Vader's suit was designed by Palpatine. Very shocking, I know. But Palpatine very much took advantage of Vader in that Vader is now in a suit that his life depends on, full of electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And Palpatine likes to shoot lightning at things.
Well, it's the lightning, and it also prevents him from being able to use lightning.
Yeah. So Darth Vader actually retroactively insulated his suit.
Yeah, they've done a whole bunch with the new canon with Vader's suit now, where they've gone in and said like it can do this, it can do this, it can't do this. Like Palpatine basically put in like a bunch of fail safes and shit.
I mean,
I forget if it's current canon or old canon, but the suit used to beep at irregular intervals just to bother Vader.
I mean, to be fair, we're talking about a suit that apparently might be run by piss, so it's already hell.
No, that's hell.
Oh, God.
But so Palpatine's sitting there with like the design team. Like, yes, and make it beep randomly. And he starts to cackle, and they're like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yes. Make sure I can shock it extra good."
I am all of this shit. I need an advantage over my Padawan.
And make him breathe loud as fuck.
Every 9.5 hours, make sure the legs seize up. Just.
I don't know. I feel. He's like Odo from Deep Space Nine, except in this case, it's his body stops working rather than him melting every 9 hours.
That would explain that deleted scene from Hoth where he just face plants.
I don't know. I don't know if this is common knowledge. Do y'all know how the Vader suit sound, where that sound came from? I feel like blaster rifles and lightsabers, we know all that stuff, but I don't know if the Vader suit is talked about as much. I know it because, Ben Burt, but
Not sure, to be honest.
No.
it's a rebreather from a scuba suit from the 40s. Ben Burt went to a scuba shop and was able to find a really old version. So he took a microphone and he put it inside of the scuba suit rebreather, and he recorded it from inside of it of him breathing, and that's where the Vader sound comes from.
Yeah, a Decor scuba regulator.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pulling up an article right now. Because this is what I Google just about everything we talk about. Why is there a video? There's a video on YouTube that's just 1 hour of Darth Vader breathing, parentheses, highest quality on YouTube.
Okay, we've already fucked this entire podcast up, so I want to talk about this. There is our atmospherics of the weirdest Star Wars shit I've ever seen that has started to pop up a lot for me because of this fucking podcast. There is an hour of Sith meditation and an hour of slow Sith whispers, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Ben Burt was one creative motherfucker.
Ben Burt is amazing. I love Ben
I'm
Burt.
looking, because I have there's on Google, it's people also asked, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, how the fuck, the TIE fighters, he just combined an elephant call and a car driving on wet pavement.
Yeah.
Who thinks of this? He's
It's
a genius.
It's amazing because the least creative decision on the entire set was the Tusken Raiders. It was just the sound of a donkey, and George made that decision. And I should have known that
Fitting.
before now, because it makes the most sense. That does not sound like something Ben Burt would do. He's a fucking legend. I love Ben Burt. You want to know what I was struck with this watch?
Hopefully nothing heavy.
I had to emulate Luke hitting his head off of the fucking Yoda hut.
Just Josh bang his head on the fucking door frame. I'll get there eventually. Yeah. This is what I'm doing for this rotation.
Josh has a board of wood set up, and he's doing sit-ups to hit his head 16 times. Anyway.
I was struck by... I had my first really, really sad bout of this podcast of what we're missing from the EU this watch. And it was Yavin 4 when we got there. The mystique of the entire planet is gone for me. And I know it's a small thing. The difference between EU content that's to expand upon the history of something and to recontextualize things that happened in the movies has always been important for me, because I've always been more interested in the expanding upon ideas or the new ideas or the history of it. Yavin 4 was one of the most complicated Force-related planets of the entire saga. There's a massive history. There's the the Masazi warriors and Naga Sadao and Frieden Nad and Exar Kun and Ula Keldroma, and then after the movies, that's where the Jedi Proxium is built by Luke, and there's the Sun Killer base, and it's like, oh, that's gone.
I do believe I'm on Wikipedia right now. The Masashi did live on Yavin 5,000 years ago in current canon.
Okay, but it didn't like properly live there. I looked at the Wikipedia page, and they like confirmed that the name of the Masashi Valley on Yavin 4 was named after the Masashi, but there's no other information. So for all we know,
they were enslaved by the Sith.
I need to look.
Being enslaved by the Sith, the Masashi species would go extinct by the time the Alliance to restore the public would utilize the temple during the Galactic Civil War as a base of operations against the then dominant Galactic Empire. It's from this base that operation... Okay, this is all stuff from... It then goes into stuff from Rogue One.
Yeah, like it's a very small amount of information, and it could be entirely different.
Well, especially compared to like you were saying with the Legends Yavin, where like, oh, so much shit.
I don't know. I have semi-faith that they'll restore some of that. I know that they're talking about doing a lot of Bane-related stuff in the High Republic, and I don't know.
What they are?
Do we want to talk about that piece of news? Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. So there is unsubstantiated
now.
rumors that they are looking at Batista to play Bane, which, okay. He definitely looks like novel Bane. But mostly they're just fully plan to flesh out Bane in the coming years and maybe do a solo series on him.
Scared.
Yeah.
Scared.
Things you love, Ben.
Oh God, I thought I was safe.
Like
I thought I was safe. Oh,
I'm totally fine with reinterpretations in this new canon, but I don't know, the way they've handled some of those reinterpretations has made me a little nervous. I'm always kind of like.
What's scaring me is... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Thrawn was the big one for me. Like, Thrawn was fine in Rebels, but it wasn't Thrawn proper.
It was Thrawn.
It was the character of Thrawn robbed of Thrawn's history.
Have you read the new Thrawn books that were still done by Timothy Zahn?
No, I haven't.
It's still Thrawn, man.
Yeah.
He's still Thrawn. If anything, they've added more to Thrawn. And trust me, I love Thrawn. That's the Thrawn trilogy. The original Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy is one of my favorite series, not just Star Wars, like in general books. I think they may have expanded upon Thrawn better with this new iteration, actually.
Okay, I will retract my statement. One of the big things that bothers me is that his importance to me is robbed. Because he was so incredibly important as an alien that probably shouldn't have been there in a time and a canon where there were not aliens in the Empire, but was so entrusted because of that. He essentially ended up leading the Empire when they were at their, well, not weakest, but like they're weakest in terms of the Empire being an empire. And I feel like that's more powerful than just taking him out of snippets from other places. So that's my thing. It's not necessarily even the characterization, because I know that he probably was characterized well in Rebels, and I have not read the Thrawn piece. It's just, we know he will not have that importance now later down the line, so it just feels off. It feels lesser.
Yeah, I'm curious what the plan is there, because they've clearly set up that he's going to have importance again later on. Same as Ezra. We'll see.
Did they set up Thrawn again?
I mean, the ending of Rebels.
Well, yeah, but I'd assume that Thrawn's dead at the end of Rebels.
No, Dave Filoni said that both him and Ezra survived.
Okay.
Well, I know for a fact Ezra survived, and I...
Well, yeah, Ezra I assumed. just because Ezra was like, I'm not gonna say anything because Josh has to watch the fucking show.
Sure. I'll do it at
You
some point.
promised. You promised.
I didn't promise. I'm
You
going to
did.
not
do
even a
it.
You
matter of,
promised on this podcast.
Maybe
I will
did.
find the clip.
Maybe I did.
I probably won't, but I'm gonna threaten it anyway. What worries me about Bane in the High Republic is Bane dies 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, but the High
So-
Republic is like right in that.
The High Republic is 200 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
So how the fuck? It was a stretch for them to even like tease Bane in Clone Wars, which I enjoyed because it means my favorite Sith Lord is canon, technically. But how the fuck are they gonna make him relevant 800 years after he supposedly died? Or are they just gonna be like, nah, he was alive and kicking 200 years? Ugh.
Yeah. In the interest of fairness, I thought it was 1,000, not 2,000 years. That just makes the okay. So a problem I've always had with the EU version of not Bane, but the Bane line, was that they decided to put it so fucking far back in the history of the galaxy that if you're going to introduce it, you have to do a line of books that lead from A to B, or at least a line of content that leads from A to B. But there's a lot of like information between the Bane's apprentice and their apprentice and Plagueis that we know nothing about. And obviously none of that exists anymore. But if you're going to do Bane in the High Republic, which we don't know that for a fact, I just know that apparently they're going to use Bane. If you said it 2,000 years before, that just makes that problem way worse.
No, the High Republic is going to take place 200 years
200 years?
before A New Hope. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said 2,000. No, I
200.
actually think it would be a better decision to put Bane in then.
I will be so mad.
Because it was such a stretch to do it 1,000 years.
I disagree. I think the Sith needed that time because they needed the Jedi to fucking have no doubt in their mind the Sith were gone until they reemerged in the Phantom Menace.
Maybe. And none of this actually takes into account that the best thing that could happen in the High Republic is there's no Sith whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, but there's space Vikings.
I don't want to get mad about it, but I won't say I like it. I want to wait to see what they do.
I went on the High Republic part of StarWars.com, and I really haven't read anything on it, but I'm staring at a picture of younger Yoda, and I want to punch him in the face.
Oh god, they already
He
have a
looks
picture
so-
of younger Yoda.
Yeah.
He looks so fucking cocky, that little fucking shit.
It
Oh
got
yeah, it's
delayed,
Yoda. What'd
too,
you
didn't it?
expect? I'm not sure. I've
was
looked
supposed to
at
come
next
out-
to nothing with it.
It was supposed to be out already, I believe, the first couple of books. But I'm pretty
2021.
sure they got delayed till like January now, I think.
This podcast in the last 20 minutes of it. I now agree more heavily with Chris that this movie just fucking ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie feels like they ran out of time and knew that they had to get to a certain cutoff point in the movie. Like, there might have been scenes that are entirely lost to time that made that ending a little bit longer, but it feels like George was like, no, we need to get to the ending after this moment, like, as soon as possible. Come on, let's rush it. All right, dress rehearsal, go. Everybody's in costume. Okay. Let's do the scene really quick at 2 times the speed. Okay. Give out the medals. Okay. Done. Like, it does feel incredibly rushed.
Eh,
I'm
I
not
don't know.
complaining about it. I'm just saying it
I know, I
does feel rushed.
never felt that way.
I think more watches will do that.
Like it's medals. All right, bye everyone. Good.
Because I never felt that way until this watch.
You know what pissed me off today?
What?
You know what really fucking pissed me off today? Today, I saw a fucking Jawa that was as tall as C-3PO, and I'm mad about it. In the scene where they're kidnapping C-3PO, one of them walks right next to him, and he's like fucking a hair shorter than C-3PO. I'm like, motherfucker,
What?
you're supposed to be short. Yeah,
I have no memory of this.
I am dead serious. It's either when they're kidnapping him or when they're like hauling them out to sell them. It's one of them. But
Well,
there's a Jawa that is almost as tall as C-3PO.
Well, we don't see them kidnap him.
Oh, true. It just kind of cuts to R2.
To 3PO already cut, yeah. Can I talk about the fucking rocks? Please, I beg of you, can we talk about the fucking
I
rocks?
was waiting for someone to talk about the rocks one of these rotations.
I mentioned last rotation how my least favorite edit to this movie was Han Solo turning the corner, and instead of there being a couple stormtroopers, there's like a million in an AT-AT. My conscience has come to accept that scene. Like, I'm not happy about it, and I still think it's insulting in that they don't understand, like, the edits don't understand Han Solo very well. But holy fucking shit, those rocks make me angry every single fucking time I see them. So for those that aren't aware or have only seen like the Blu-rays or anything like else,
Or don't give a shit about things that we will absolutely tear apart because we're nitpicky.
because we're watching this forever, R2-D2 used to just be kind of in like a small area when Obi-Wan arrives. Like just a tiny area, like just kind of hidden, sheltered under it. And George later came in and put like a billion rocks CGI in the shot.
Okay, like 5.
Okay. He put like one big rock that makes it entirely impossible that he got inside of it at all. I don't understand. You cannot present a scenario in which there was a reason to do that to me. It makes me fucking angry every single time because one, now I have to wonder how the fuck he got in there, and two, it's so unnecessary. I have Google Docs that are filled with every rotation and everything I talk about and everything else. I have had the note, droid period rocks period R2 period since the pre-podcast watch of this movie. Jesus. And I just got tired of fucking looking at it, so I had to mention it because it makes me so angry.
I'm just glad because I thought for ages I was the only one who got pissed off over the fucking rocks. And I can see Josh is a lot more pissed off than I am about them.
What is this? What do you think, like, how many more rotations before we get to like a New Hope and it's just like, do you see that speck of dust in the cantina? Fuck. Like, how many more rotations before this fully goes off the fucking rails and we're just fried?
I have an idea for one of our rotations, but that's something I have to bring up outside of an official capacity before I mention anything.
Well, that worries me.
I have a lot of ideas for rotation.
Oh, Josh, you're gonna hate this idea, but I can't wait. And now I leave you in suspense until we finish recording.
Ben's also straight edge though. We need to do a rotation where Josh and I just get dangerously stoned.
Oh, please do not.
No.
Like,
I mean, it's going
while
to happen.
watching these movies. Like,
please do not.
I already have it written down on my idea list. I have had that idea in my mind since before this podcast started. I'm going to get high to watch these movies.
Why do you both hate me?
We're not going to be high when we record the podcast.
Chris, that's the part where you go, "Oh, we're not." Also. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Allegedly.
We're gonna get allegedly dangerously stoned before watching.
We in no way support the use of illicit drugs. Allegedly.
Nah, fuck it. Toke it up.
I do not condone.
No, but we totally support the non-illicit ones.
Legalize it. There's
What's happening?
Fucking minds. That's
My
what's
life
happening.
has culminated in talking about fucking turning up and watching Star Wars.
there's 2 aliens that were cut from the movie that pissed me off. One of which is a fly-headed alien that just looked really cool, and I want it back in the movie. This one's just funny to me. I don't remember if it's a deleted scene or what, but there's an alien like cut on Tatooine. That's like there's a smaller alien. It might have been a Jawa. I don't remember because that's not the important part. And just 2 giant legs that go up and out of the frame, not CGI, entirely like in the original filming of the movie. Like don't even connect and just stretch so far up and out of the frame and just slowly walk over this creature. I think it was leading into the stormtroopers looking for 3PO and R2, and it's so batshit.
They look like really long chicken legs, right?
No, they just look like fucking somebody put them in khakis, but they're so fucking skinny that
I remember
they're
seeing,
so fucking
like-
skinny that you can't tell.
I remember seeing like
Oh,
really
God.
tall, like chicken leg type things.
No, they're just
Or
really
is
long
that
legs.
a memory I'm making up? Because I just
What are
watched this
I
like
don't know.
5 minutes ago, and
What
I'm
are they,
like,
chicken legs? No, they're khakis.
I don't realize how stupid I sound until Chris points it out. Fucking.
No, to be fair, I was the one that sounded stupid in
I
that
was
scenario.
about to say that's no, it was just you asking a question. The response was fantastic. That was
A quote on C-3PO from Georgie Boy. Part of the fun of 3PO is he has no soul.
I really
He
do
is
have a lot in
programmed-
common with 3PO.
He is programmed to think in a particular way and be compassionate, but he doesn't really know what that means. And sometimes he gets frustrated, and sometimes he has very human-like qualities, but they don't have a central place where he can think independently. I've never... Makes me so sad, that quote. 3PO's fun
Makes me
because he doesn't
happy.
have a soul.
It makes me happy. I've realized that I have more in common with my spirit animal.
There's a piece of trivia from this movie that I love and I keep with me every time I watch it. It makes me laugh. Apparently he was so bad at communicating with the like George Lucas was so bad at communicating with the actors. Like he was really bad at giving direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's a surprise.
So it was generally him just telling them faster or more intense.
Oh, yeah. That's a famous George thing.
Apparently he lost his voice at one point. And so the crew provided him with a board that just had the 2 phrases faster and more intense on it, so he could point to them.
It's worth mentioning that Carrie Fisher, I don't have this written down, but it was in the special features that Carrie Fisher, when describing George Lucas, essentially said that he didn't talk the first 2 times he met her. Like, the entire time it was all through people that worked for George. So it's like something fucking happened between the original trilogy and the prequels. Like, maybe Star Wars got so popular that that an ego happened because he talks way more.
I mean, to be fair, George Lucas also told Carrie Fisher that there aren't bras in space. Allegedly. Not even allegedly.
There's a fucking Disney Plus put an old trailer on the fucking special features, $7.99, best $7.99 in the biz, where it's called the Forbidden Love TV spot, and it's a trailer from when the movie was being released where it presents the story like a romance between Luke and Leia.
Oh, God.
I'm really glad they took away Star Wars from Lucas before Game of Thrones got big.
Oh,
Because, like, hey, this Game of Thrones is pretty popular, you know? We should...
No, stop. Enough. I refuse.
The crate dragon skeleton is still in the desert in Tunisia. FYI.
Oh, really?
well, nobody knows where it is though, because it's been covered in sand and lost.
Well,
and refound.
they left it, and then they went back to the site during Attack of the Clones, and it was apparently still there.
I think they might have mentioned that in the Attack of the Clones piece. I remember.
So
They definitely didn't pick it back up, I'll tell you that.
It's a fucking crate dragon skeleton in the deserts of Tunisia and went, no, this lives here. Can you fucking imagine being out there just like on like a dune buggy or something, just riding around and fucking you come across that fucking nightmare?
I can't wait for like the archaeologists of the distant future to like uncover the fucking crate dragon skeleton.
Oh no.
You're like, oh, these are the legendary dragons our ancestors fought.
The fucking squibbins will be like tearing through the history of the people that they can find that's left over, and they're like, yes, they always spoke of dragons, but they came in many forms. They must have been some kind of pet of the human species. But we only have the one body.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Harrison Ford in 1978 being interviewed about the experience filming Star Wars on a fucking dock in front of like a bunch of ships, because of course he was. It was a lot of fun. How much? Harrison slowly folds his arms out, palms away from one another until his arms are extended outwards from himself, but his elbows are still bent so they're not fully extended. About this much.
What?
He was so disinterested already in Star Wars that he was just like, oh, it was a lot of fun. How much? And then he just like halfway extends out his arms and just goes, this much. Like, it's not even the full amount.
Nothing amuses me more than Harrison Ford's endless hatred for Star Wars.
So, at one point, they had to fly to England, the cast and crew, and because they had such a small budget, they were flying coach. And Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher's mother, apparently found out about this and called George Lucas about how insulting it was for her daughter to be flying coach. Apparently, Carrie Fisher was in the room as Lucas is getting fucking reamed out by Debbie Reynolds, and she grabs the phone from him and goes, "Mother, I want to fly coach. Will you fuck off?" And then hung up on her.
Carrie Fisher is just... I love that woman. I'm sorry, I need a minute after that.
I have some other fantastic trivia I found, by the way.
Let me sneak this one in, and then you go. Going back to Star Warriors for a minute, because there will never be another moment where I get to bring this up. They got rooms for everybody that they flew in, but everyone was required to sleep two in a bed, whether they knew each other or not.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, go ahead. I just wanted to get that in there.
They apparently quite often would leave poor Kenny Baker in the R2 outfit when they went on lunch. They would forget about him.
What the fuck?
All right, that's a wrap. Going to lunch. They were just, guys. Guys, I'm still in here.
I picture Kenny Baker like crawling out of the prop closet. Oh, fuck, not again.
So, apparently during the trash compactor scene, Mark Hamill held his breath for so long that he broke a blood vessel in his face.
What? That explains why he was so dodgy when talking about how that day was a long day on the set.
Yeah, that's why there's a bunch of shots that are only of one side of his face in that scene.
Oh my god, that's even worse knowing that George pushed him into the water now.
Oh my god. Allegedly.
No, not allegedly. Mark
Alleged.
Hamill said it himself.
That's unless it's in a court, it's allegedly.
So, the most unpleasant part of this watch through, other than Star Warriors, was watching The Anatomy of a Dewback,
Oh.
which is a documentary on the special features, specifically the scene where they add in a dewback and redo the stormtrooper scene.
When they're searching, or
Yeah, they redo that in the special features.
okay.
So it's just like some insane
The
shit
contempt
that happens
in
here.
Josh's voice.
It's like, I'm gonna talk about things that are really kind of funny, but I just was unhappy watching it. There's a guy, I assume he was like in charge of the overall direction, and I can only describe this man as surfer boy white dude, because he has a surfer boy accent, and he's filmed in a theater at the back of a theater with his tie undone and his shirt unbuttoned and his feet up on the theater seats in front of him, and he talks in like a surfer guy accent, and he like describes the Deuce C alterations as making the stormtroopers not look like lame-os. It's like, I don't understand how this man ever got a job anywhere.
Can't
Like,
have the stormtroopers looking like Sleemos, you know?
lame-os.
No,
Like,
Sleemos.
oh God, Ben, why?
We're using Star Wars jargon now, boys.
Oh my god.
Welcome to hell.
Extremely proud to bring back to the show Rick McCallum.
Oh, God damn it.
There was a CGI artist that was working on the dewback scene, who apparently knew some people who did some extra work on the original Star Wars. He went to high school with them, and they were friends with Ben Burt. So Ben Burt got them in to the Yavin 4 scene as extras. And apparently, like, those guys, they were brothers, apparently just, like, gave him a hard time about it for years as, like, a braggadocious thing. And apparently over a lunch break, he told Rick McCallum this. And at some point, they decided they had to refilm the scene, essentially, to make sure that everything fit. So Rick McCallum calls him and asks him to, like, secure a spot for a certain day, and he was being dodgy about it, and eventually he just came out and said, maybe it's time for us to get even with your buddies. Like, so that guy is in the movie now, just purely out of Rick McCallum hearing a story about two brothers being braggadocious about being in the original Star Wars and going, fuck it, we'll put you in Star Wars.
Jesus Christ.
The level of pettiness I admire. They also film a little piece of people watching the special features, and when you see the redone scene in the theater, there's a lot of confused conversation from the people in the theater. Like, you can just hear the muffled, like, you can't hear the words, but you can hear the muffling of people going, I don't remember this scene. Yeah, I don't remember this scene either. And after it, there's such a stunned silence of confusion that just one person in the crowd just goes, woo! That's the end of them showing this scene that the entire doc was about.
That would be me.
That's it. That's all I got. I apologize.
Oh, fuck.
Studio executives were incredibly uncomfortable that Chewbacca had no pants, so they tried to get the costume
Yes.
to be redesigned with shorts.
What? Wait.
Also, George Lucas's first pick for Darth Vader's voice was Orson Welles.
Okay. One of the things that struck me. God damn it, I can't stop thinking about that now. Oh, you know what? I gotta sneak this in now. George Lucas says in the special features that one of his first visions of everyone that was on Tatooine was that they were all little people. And that Luke and his family would have been included in that. So
Oh man.
that would have been a different
Guys.
movie.
There was a better timeline, and we're not in it.
Hold on. If that includes Luke and his family, does that include Darth Vader?
My head canon
I mean, it
says
must.
yes.
Yeah, would have had to.
He's in the suit, and then like the chest just opens up, and he climbs out.
It's the Men in Black scene. It's the movie for the first Men in Black where the fucking alien is sitting in there.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Okay.
my god.
So-
I hate this fucking podcast.
We love you too, Chris.
So to end it off on, the thing that I was struck the most on watching the special features of this movie this time around was how fucking different everything would be if just small details had gone differently in the production of this movie. Like, there's a deleted scene where Rebel Pilot talks about how he served with Luke's father, and Luke's father was one of the best pilots there ever was. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, we fought
But
a bunch of clones of some dude. I think his name was Lando.
The big one, though, was that Darth Vader, like the entire concept of Darth Vader, essentially came from Ralph McQuarrie. Like, Ralph McQuarrie is responsible for Vader, like, the entire character. George came to him and explained a character that kind of glides on wind with a samurai helmet, and Ralph got kind of really obsessed with the idea of this character having to go between ship and ship, and got obsessive about his oxygen needs. So he designed Vader's breath, like his design where he would have to breathe through this thing, and George was not happy about it at first because that wasn't what he originally envisioned. And all I kept thinking about was that if he didn't let Ralph do this thing that he really wanted to do, George's grandiose vision that he never had would have never happened, because we wouldn't have had this injured, pathetic man, as George likes to say, inside of the Vader suit that was a pawn or whatever. It just would have been this ghost samurai villain, and there would have been no reason to make prequels. Like, there are so many things that, just minor decisions that would have changed Star Wars forever if they had not happened, and all of them are outside of George's really wheelhouse. It's just a stark reminder that George is not as in control or thinking forward as people think. Because
Allegedly.
no allegedly here.
What's wrong, Chris? What's the matter, Chris?
I'm gonna be real, Josh. I can't wait to listen to this episode because I have no idea what you just said during any of that, because I've been zoned out and focused on the intrusive thought since you mentioned that in one version, it was all gonna be little people. I want you to know I'm going to hell, because ever since that exchange, the only thing that's been bouncing around my head has been little people, big desert. That's all I can see. Oh, the wheels have fallen off.
Chris, you say the wheels have fallen off like every episode.
I know. Because, no, it's every, 4 episodes, because there's some smooth sailing for a bit, and then we have an episode like this where we've lost our fucking minds.
I love it.
Like the original trilogy, it really is.
It really is. The original trilogy is because what are we going to talk about?
Yeah. Like, we could sit here and fucking talk about how the fucking Battle of Yavin is the most inspired dogfight of the entire series and nothing touches it, but we're not that podcast. We got dangerously close to being that podcast in the sequels, and that's not gonna happen again. we were not getting real criticism in this podcast, especially the original trilogy. All of it has been said. This podcast is bullshit. I hate it. This has been Star Wars Every Week Forever. Good night. I need a second. Jesus Christ. Hi, everybody. It's Josh. I'll be taking the original trilogy bits on recommendations. I figured I was not originally going to suggest this episode. I had planned for it next episode, but considering Boba Fett came up this episode anyway, I wanted to bring up the Mandalorian Armor trilogy. Now, this is canon that you can't even squint your eyes at as thinking that it's canon anymore. These are books that were out of date the moment that the prequels started, but I would contend they're really, really good. They essentially follow Boba Fett through. It's cut between Boba Fett recovering from the Sarlacc and Boba Fett's time with the Bounty Hunters Guild, which, as I understand it, is in The Mandalorian in some capacity. It's just really cool. It involves a lot of internal politics and people kind of jockeying for positions inside of the Bounty Hunters Guild. And especially the reason why I recommend it is just because there's like a spider gang boss that hires hits on people, and I just think that's really cool. Kathleen Kennedy and everybody involved in the new Star Wars canon, please bring back the giant spider assassin hirer, please. Thank you. They're really good books. Check them out. Bye.